One of the best parts of my job is also the hardest part. When kids feel comfortable and they feel like they can let their guards down, they feel safe, they start taking longer to do what you're asking them to do as a professional working with them, someone outside their family. And so with one of my students today, he was just feeling good, feeling relaxed, taking his time. And I was like, you know what? He's feeling safe. He's feeling safe. He's not being disrespectful. He's not being lazy. He's not taking his time because he doesn't show any regard. He's feeling safe. So he is taking his time, and it does require a little bit more patience, but I got this. We got this. And so how do I work with those children when they're feeling good and they're feeling like, oh yeah, this is our time. We can just go with the flow. Okay, I want to share with you what I do and how you can do this with your students and with your children. So the first thing you want to remember is that when a child feels safe and they're pushing those limits, pushing the limits does not mean that they no longer respect you or they don't respect you. It means that they're feeling safe, okay? And especially for some of us Black folk, we're like, don't you ever get comfortable. Right? It doesn't matter if you're Black from the United States, Black from Honduras, Black from Cuba, Black from Ecuador, Zambia, wherever it may be. Don't ever get comfortable. But today's kids are a little bit different. So we do want to allow them the space to be safe, to be relaxed, to be comfortable, but still show regard, still show respect, okay? And some children may not know what respect is. The concept is a little bit bigger, but we can help them say, okay, it's being considerate, being thoughtful of someone, and showing them kindness, being patient with them. So break it open so it's not this big thing. Like respectful means be quiet and don't say anything, okay? Now the other thing is, when you find your student or your child pushing that limit, you look at them and you observe yourself observing that child, okay? So number one, don't interpret their sense of safety and comfort as a disregard. Number two, you observe yourself observing them. Okay, this is metacognition, observing your thoughts. And as you do this, you're telling yourself, we're right where we need to be. We are right where we need to be. They're safe, I'm safe, we're safe, and we got this, okay? As soon as you feel like you can't handle the child kind of taking their time and dragging and whatever the case may be, because they're feeling, I can relax with you. I can do, all the things before we get to the next part of this session or the next part of the day. If you have your child doing that, sorry, I gotta rub my eye here. Then you just say, okay, all right, and just slowly get them back on track. You always have your goal. I always have a goal when I'm working with the kids. But then you say, well, how is this behavior helping them to move towards their goal? And how are we moving towards that learning target? Okay, so with my child today, we're working on grounding and slow and controlled movements, okay? And my child was very bouncy, extra bouncy, okay? And so I interpreted that bounciness as, okay, he's excited. He's excited. Okay, I'm ready. Let's do this. And he's taking his time. He's relaxing. And we do want to allow some space. So you want to set a timer, maybe within yourself, a timer for 90 seconds or 2 minutes, right? And while you're doing this, you're enjoying them. Do not forget to enjoy them, because they can feel when you're enjoying them. And then you just get back on track. It's like almost like you got to massage, get back on track, right? And so an example today with my young one is he's feeling bouncy and we got to ground. Now grounding took 10 minutes and we have an hour. And so I could look at that a few ways. I could say, oh man, a fifth of our time. No, a tenth of our time. A tenth of our session was spent grounding. Or I can say, you know what? This is good information for me. We haven't seen each other. And this is a great time to practice our tools, okay? And it's okay to, fall back a little bit and get back on track, okay? And so I'm with him. And I'm mirroring him and say, oh, I see, okay, and this and that. And a parent has observed, one of his parents has observed and say, wow, you have so much patience. Now, this is the hard part. They get safe, they feel safe, and they're like, oh yeah, this is great. And it's like, this is great, but we also have to move towards the goal. So we want to practice patience in such a way to where we are showing that we're patient, we're being very present, we're monitoring how we're feeling about their behavior, we're not interpreting it through a negative lens or a deficit lens. Even saying, oh my gosh, we're spending so much time here, we're not going to be able to do that. That's a scarcity mindset. You can't have that mindset. You just need to be present, okay? And then look for other goals that can be reached while the child is feeling and expressing that sense of safety, okay? This is very important, because when you look for the other goals that can be reached, then what you're saying is we're being flexible as we move towards the goal. And this is really important because sometimes we get rigid. It has to look this way in order for us to reach the goal. But if we as adults are modeling patience, we're modeling observation, we're modeling that self-monitoring so that we can see what the student is doing, what goals are they reaching as they express safety, as they express comfort and joy, then we can say, okay, now I wasn't even expecting to reach that goal and we met it. And I can't tell you how many times I've been able to see a student reach a goal that I had not set. And I'm a goal setter when it comes to being a kids life coach. We're doing this, and this, according to what the family wants and what the child wants and what's needed and X, Y, and Z, okay? And then we go to a different place because we have the presence of mind to see it. And I always have my list of skills that we're building. It could be self-awareness, it could be inhibition, it could be memory recall, it could be attentional control, visual, reaction time, hand-eye coordination, all of these skills that go into starting and completing a task within a timely manner and efficiently, right? With quality. So there's so many goals that we can reach, but we have to have the eyes to see those goals being met. And if we're being impatient, if we're operating with a scarcity mindset, we're not going to be able to see that happen. Now, another point I want to make, when the child is getting comfortable and you have built a rapport with this student, say, okay, you kind of got to grab them in a loving way, okay? Say, and now this is really, really good. When I say grab, it's like you're giving them a hug. Again, you've built the rapport. I still ask for permission. I say, can I give you a rub on your back? This is sensory support. Can I give you a rub on your back? Or can I press on your back? Okay? Student says yes. I proceed. And I say, okay, now I'm just going to press. How's that feel? Okay. And then with that sensory support, the child is able to get back on track. Okay. Able to get back on track. And sometimes when I say you got to grab them, give them a hug, I'm going to give you a squeeze. I'm going to give you a squeeze so we can get back on track. Now you say, Ashley, will that work with a 12-year-old? Because my student is 8. It can work if you do it a certain way. I have kids say, I'm going to give you a squeeze. You ready? Okay. Now, first I had to ask them. I cannot emphasize enough building rapport and asking for consent with kids. Kids are people. We just don't come in doing what we want to do because we're the adults. Not okay. Once the rapport has been built, then you say, okay, I'm gonna give you a squeeze. And you have to be able to read the nonverbal communication before you do that. If they don't look like they're gonna be receptive to it, don't do it. But if you see an entry point, okay, you say, I'm gonna give you a squeeze. Are you ready? And even my other students who are older and may have some neurodivergence, they like the squeeze. And they'll come up to me and they'll say, Ashley, can you give me a squeeze? A really hard one. I say, all right, I'm coming in, And so being able to do that, because that is what they need in that moment, okay? So it works for the older kids. That child is 10, the one who will ask me, can you give me a hug? And they're 16-year-olds, they're a little bit more relaxed. They may not need that, but still, they'll say, well, Ashley, can I give you a hug after we've had a heart-to-heart? And they've been able to express where they are and work through some emotional insights, okay? I hope this helps you with helping the child get back on track and being able to understand that when a child expresses a sense of safety, don't go into go into aha. All right, we are right where we need to be. We're right where we need to be, because if we go into the we go into scarcity, we go into oh no, we go into what's going to happen, and we're trying to avoid regrets. Okay? And as professionals working with kids, we love our students. We want to see them reach and exceed their expectations, their goals, build their skills, make wonderful contributions to their families and to their communities. But we do that by following the aha. And someone I met a few years ago gave me that phrase, follow the aha. Okay? When you're working with those kids, follow the aha. Wow. Follow that. And I have found every time I follow the aha with my students, even the ones in my larger group settings that I'm not as close to, we only spend time together once a month, there's still something to find when we follow the aha. Okay, I hope this is supportive of you in helping your children to get back on track, and when they express safety, some things that you can do to help them meet their goals. See you again soon.